Well, all right. I have finally, after a long period really, I finally procured an air compressor for myself. I've been wanting one for a long time. Not that I have a lot of need for one, I really don't. But I think for a DIYer, it's a sensible thing to own. Certainly comes in handy just for a variety of things. Probably the most menial of tasks would be, just inflating tires and such, which, I mean, that's kind of stupid to buy it just for that. But, I also hope to, go ahead and buy some air tools, impact wrenches and things of that nature, and cut off wheels and blowers and, the stuff that a DIYer would do. So anyways, I'll tell you about the compressor. This is according to the manual, 1971 Campbell Hausfeld, made in Harrison, Ohio, which I think is over by Dayton. It is a 2-cylinder, 2-horse, running on 220 volts currently, but according to the motor plate here, this can be ran on 115. I don't know for sure if this is the original motor or not. I only assume it is, but I don't know for sure. I don't know what Campbell Hausfeld would have used. But it runs at, I think, 100 or 120 psi. I will probably eventually get a regulator, an inline regulator, so that I can step that down to something lower from using a brad nailer or whatever. But yeah, it's in really good shape. The guy said that he got it from his neighbor, and his neighbor was real picky about maintenance and stuff, so it's been drained and oil changed and such. He had it in storage, the seller did, and I went ahead and asked him to pull that out of storage so I could hear it run. And he started it up, and it sounds real good, real smooth and quiet. So yeah, 20 gallon I think will be perfectly fine for what I want to use. So yeah, I'm going to put it over here. This is the wall here that joins with the family room, and I'm currently in the process of running my 220. So this runs at 11 amps at 220 volts, or 230 I think it says, but whatever. So I'm going to use 12-2 wiring, which is rated for 20 amps. That should be plenty. And I'm going to put a 2-pole switch in, because I don't think this has an actual switch on the controller. I think it just you just kind of plug it in and it goes. So I wanted to have something that I could shut it off with. So anyway, I've got the 220 volt plug, and maybe in a different bag actually. I got this switch over here, which is a 2-pole 30 amp double pole switch, rated at 277 volts. So yeah, that should be plenty beefy. And the cord on it was shot, so I got a new plug. And I bought some 14.2 cable. This is the original, and you find a spot here. It feels kind of pliable, but then, yeah, it's coming apart. We even have some exposed conductor in there, so yeah, it had to go. So yeah, getting ready to hook in the wiring. I've done the fun part, been down in the crawl space already. I have a 220 volt circuit that I ran a hot tub on. It's a 50 amp fuse, which is a little bit excessive. But I probably should replace that with 30 amp, I would guess, or even 20 for this gauge of wire, but I'm going to leave this in for now. I don't know, probably do that eventually, but for now I'm just going to run it off of that 50 amp fuse. Like I said, a little bit excessive, but it'll work. All right, so we'll go ahead and wire the boxes up here, and we'll check back in when we're done. Well, got one side in. They make these little old work boxes. You know, they're very handy for this kind of thing, of course, but these little ears that they have on there, you have to work them loose to where they're threaded in some. You have to kind of cut the threads first, I've found, or you know, you'll stick them in there and you're not going to be able to turn them very easily at all. So I got this side done. I'm just kind of working on this side here to get that loosened up and threaded in so that I'll be able to tighten this. All right, so this is absolutely necessary, but I think I read somewhere that if you have changed the color coding on these wires, you need to let the next person know. So since these are both hot on 220, I went ahead and wrapped a little black tape around the white wire here, and then I'll do the same for these here when I connect them to the switch. And I'm also a firm believer in, I don't even know if this plug has them, those little push-in connectors on the back. Screw that stuff. Pun intended. I always use the screws. And of course this is kind of a no-brainer, but I guess if you don't know, when you put these on, you need to wind the wire around clockwise so that when you tighten the screw down, it tightens the wire. It actually, at least it doesn't push the wire out, I think is probably more what you want to say. And I'm also going to go ahead and just, for an extra measure of security, I'm going to wrap some black tape around the back of this guy too. So I don't know if that's necessary, but I figure, hey, what the heck. All right, got these boxes wired up and labeled even, just so there's no mistaking. Not that you could plug anything else into here, really, but just in case. All right, so headed back into the crawl space. I know I said I was done, but I still have to run the power lead, the 12-2, over to the circuit breaker box. So we will head downstairs. All right, back down in the crawl space. I have to finish nailing up this Romex. I'm going to run it over here and out that corner above this ductwork, and then you see the junction box, or the electrical box over there. You can see the other cable that I had for the hot tub hanging down. I'm going to pull that out and probably sell that on Craigslist, and maybe close to 50 feet of it, so I'll see what the new price is and put about half of that on there and get a little money back. Okay. Alright, we got the main power shut off there, and I want to bear in mind with this always is that even though that's off, these two conductors there are live. It will kill you. Alright, but everything else in here is off. And I'm going to run my cable that I've ran up here in the ceiling where the larger 220 volt wire was, down through one of these knockouts here on the top. So I'll get a clamp in there and then run it down, and here's where my breaker goes. Right in there. I can't see that. My light is giving out. Alright, anyway, let me get this connected. Alright. Well, I had to make another trip to the hardware, of course. The 50 amp fuse that circuit breaker that I was going to use temporarily, I ended up not being able to use that, pretty much because it's made for that real heavy gauge wire, and it wouldn't even clamp down on this 12 gauge. So I went ahead and bought the proper double pull circuit breaker 20 amps. So I will get that installed in here, and we'll get button back up and give this thing a test. Alright, probably can't see it, but I have the breaker installed, and we'll throw the switch, and no sparkies, no circuit breaker tripping. I've got one that's turned off here. I don't know what that's for, but kick it back on. I just bumped it. Alright, everything's back on. Let's go check the voltage. Alright, we're ready to test it. I've plumbed my line here. Bought this 50-foot hose at Harbor Freight, and just leaving a bunch of black shit all over my hands, so I don't know if I like it or not. But it was 25 bucks for rubber, and Home Depot had a Husky brand for $39. I don't know. I just didn't see the point in spending the extra money. If this thing continues to leave black shit all over everything, then I don't think I want it. We'll keep it as a spare, but anyway. Alright, so let's flick the switch here and see what happens. Oh, I should mention here, this wire here, the power cord, is kind of close to the flywheel, so I might end up getting a strap, kind of screwing it into the wall there. Keep that away from the wheel. Alright, here we go. Okay, it's up to pressure. 120 pounds. Got a little blower attachment here. I don't know if that sound is normal. I guess it probably is. Blow stuff around. Alright, so end of project. Now we'll start using this thing.